Welcome to the NonProfit Voice Tech Series, a special edition of the NonProfit Voice podcast, hosted by Mark Becker, founding partner of Cathexis Partners and editorial advisory board member of NonProfit Pro. In each episode of this monthly installment, Mark will have conversations with prominent nonprofit organizations and industry thought leaders to learn more about different technology offerings in the marketplace. Join us, and together we will learn more about these innovative digital tools and how to navigate the rapidly evolving technology landscape.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Mark Becker with Cathexis Partners, founding partner. And today we're going to be talking with Olivia and Tiffany about an interesting campaign they put together. Tiffany, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Absolutely. My name is Tiffany Rivers, and I am the Senior Director of Social at Media Cause. We are a full-service agency servicing mostly nonprofits and mission-driven organizations, and I lead out our social media practice here at the agency. My background is a bit of a mix of nonprofit work, for-profit work, but have been in the social space for a little bit over 10 years. So I consider myself a veteran at this point, but it is an industry that changes every day and it keeps me on my toes. This partnership with Olivia was exciting, diving into influencer marketing, and can't wait to see what the future holds.
Awesome. And Olivia.
Yeah. Hi, Mark. I'm Olivia. I'm our social media manager with the It Gets Better project. So we are an LGBTQ plus youth nonprofit, and our mission is to uplift, empower, and connect LGBTQ plus youth around the world. And so we have our storytelling initiatives, which I'm sure people are mostly familiar with because that's kind of how we got our start, was people telling their stories to LGBTQ youth about how things got better for them, how they've grown, to kind of give them a bit of hope and encouragement. We still do that. And we also have a really great education program and a really amazing global program now as well. And so, yeah, I manage all of our social media channels for the It Gets Better project.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for both of you for being here today. Tell us a little about the 50 States, 50 Grants, 5,000 Voices campaign.
Yeah, I can jump in with that. So this was a really amazing initiative that we got to start this past year for the first time. And so our goal, through funding from one of our longtime partners, American Eagle, was essentially to fund a project that would support LGBTQ plus youth in every state throughout the United States. So it was pretty ambitious. But essentially, how the program worked was we had middle school and high school students submit an application for a project that they felt was important to them alongside a teacher, because, you know, every school, every state has different needs for their own students, and the students are really the ones who know what they need best. And so, yeah, the process was essentially we had them submit an application for a project that they would use this grant money for. And then we had a selection process where we chose how to divvy up those grants.
That's great. It sounds like an awesome, and I was checking out the website, and if you, for those listening, 50 States, 50grants.com is the website. Great looking website, great message that you're sharing there, but getting the word out about it, generating awareness is always a challenge for any type of campaign, right? What kind of obstacles did you have, and how did you look to get around those?
Yeah, and I'll let Tiffany speak a bit about the technical side, which is why we're so grateful to have worked with Media Cause on this. But I think a challenge with a campaign like this from like a social media perspective as well is just getting people to actually take action. Like, it's one thing to see an ad for this when you're just, say, scrolling through Instagram, or you happen to see an ad for it on TikTok or something like that. But then it's another thing to get the person to then click onto the website, view the website, read through the website, decide to start an application, and then bring it to their teacher or bring it to their students as something they actually want to do, and get them to hit that submit button on a project. So in that sense, we're kind of asking people a lot. And so I think it's a challenge to take them from learning about it to actually completing an application to submit for this grant. And so I think it's always a challenge to get people to take action and make it a smooth process with as few steps that people have to take as possible.
That's a great point. Tiffany, can you tell us about how you all help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think building on what Olivia mentioned around getting them to actually take action, I think the step before that is figuring out the audience that you want to reach. And so we knew that we wanted students to complete these applications, but in many ways, educators can be almost gatekeepers or, help them through the process. So focusing on that target audience of educators and making sure that we got this campaign in front of the right eyes was one of the primary obstacles we needed to face. And then secondly, making sure we told the story with authenticity and a level of genuineness that really resonates with this community was kind of our second challenge. And we did that with influencer partnerships, and we focused specifically on those influencer partnerships with educators who had gained traction on platforms like TikTok and Instagram and really had an engaged audience.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that, hashtag favorite teacher campaign and why you chose TikTok.
Yeah, I can start with this again. So yeah, TikTok is one of our fastest growing audiences, which makes sense because it's a big platform for youth. And so we go wherever LGBTQ plus youth are. And so we actually got to work pretty closely with TikTok when we first launched our channel. We were actually part of their program called the CLF Fund, which was their creative learning fund. And so it was kind of TikTok's mission to bring educational content onto their platform and, positive, empowering content. And so we got to be part of that during its first year. And so we still work pretty closely with TikTok, and it just made total sense to bring this type of campaign onto that platform, especially because it's such a strong platform with youth and our target demographic. And so that was the way that we were going to make sure we got it in front of them. And so, yeah, basically the way this campaign worked is that it was a hashtag based campaign called hashtag favorite teacher. And so we had some influencers create videos on their own channels using the hashtag, and they told some stories about a teacher that really impacted them during their life. So a lot of them were funny, some of them were really sweet and inspiring. And then we had sort of our own landing page on the TikTok Discover page. So if you were browsing TikTok, you could go to the Discover page, you would see a banner that said hashtag favorite teacher. You could click on that and see a little bit of a description about the campaign and 50 states, 50 grants. And then you could see all of those videos that were made using that hashtag from our influencers. So that's a little bit of an overview of kind of how that worked.
That's great. And how did you identify influencers?
Yeah, I'll let Tiffany speak to that one because Media Cause really helped us, nail down some of these influencers.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, a very collaborative process as an agency partner. But we started off sharing, an initial list of potential creators and influencers that we thought might be a good fit. So we look at, their previous content and really does it align with the mission and values of It Gets Better. We look at their creativity and really bringing a message to life. We look kind of under the hood in some ways at their engagement rates and their audience demographics and their following. So we want to make sure that we get that ROI out of that partnership. And then we somewhat look at the potential for long-term partnerships in the future. So we don't want these to be just transactional, just about this one campaign, but ultimately, would this be a great partner for It Gets Better in any future work that they do?
Oh, that's great. And then as far as, creating the posts, did you work with the influencers and other folks to develop unique posts or tell us more about that?
Yeah, I can jump in. So we work on a creative brief. Again, we work really collaboratively with It Gets Better to define and refine what this creative brief looks like, what those deliverables will be for a creator or an influencer. We talk through timelines. We give them a few prompts to just, get their creative juices flowing and make sure they understand the primary objective for their TikTok or Instagram reels. And then from there, as professional creators and folks who do this day in and day out, they take it and run with it. They integrate graphics, they integrate music, different effects native to the platform. And then together we review it just to make sure that it meets all the criteria of our original creative brief and the objectives set forth there. And then they publish them.
That's great. And so you got the awareness out there, and you got folks to submit. That's the ultimate, call to action in this, right? Submit their projects. Tell us a little bit about the results, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I can let Tiffany, speak a little bit about some hard numbers, which were exciting. But yeah, I think this campaign on TikTok really did play a big role in getting this in front of a lot of people. And so yeah, we were able to distribute over $500,000 worth of grants. I think we got applications, if not from every single state, almost every state, which was pretty amazing. And it was so successful that we're planning a next round, which is really amazing.
Yeah, just from the perspective of hard numbers, so we saw over 104 million views of the hashtag favorite teacher on TikTok, which is just outstanding in the time frame that we were able to activate. In addition to that, we saw like over 1,000% increase in profile views for It Gets Better on their page, on their TikTok page during this time period. So we really focused on raising visibility again about what It Gets Better does and their overall mission. And as Olivia mentioned, just driving that traffic to those landing pages, we were able to see applications submitted in nearly 50 states.
That's great. So, Olivia, looking ahead, what's next? What's the any plan? Are you going to continue with this campaign, or what's next for the organization?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was always kind of secretly our goal to do another round of this and make it a regular thing based on the success of the first round. And so yeah, like I mentioned, we're going to be able to do that again and have a little bit of an expansion to that program as well this year. So it's really exciting. And I think, it's just a testament to some direct work and direct benefits that we're able to give to LGBTQ plus youth based on what they feel they need in their own schools and communities, which is just a really amazing thing to be able to say. So yeah, we've got that going again next year, again alongside Media Cause, which is really exciting. And I'm sure that TikTok will play a role again. Like I mentioned, it's just where so many youth are. So it's the perfect platform to really get something like this in front of them. But yeah, and besides that, as an organization, we've got a couple exciting web series going on, a couple exciting summits with our global affiliates. And this year we were actually able to bring some of our LGBTQ youth together in person for the first time to meet one another, which was really exciting.
That's great. And, having this campaign under your belt, any lessons learned, anything that you would do differently, or any advice for organizations looking to get started here?
Yeah, I'm sure, Tiffany, you have some as well from the technical end of things. But yeah, I think for us, it was just, identifying those challenges to begin with and just kind of being able to be good, I guess, mind readers and really put yourself in the position of people who are in your audience, who you want to see this. If I was a high school student and I came across an ad like this, what's going to make me want to actually click on it or bring this to my teacher? Or is this an easy and smooth enough process for me to actually end up hitting that submit button. So I think really trying to identify some of those challenges before you even start and putting yourself in the shoes of that audience that you're trying to target, to kind of get an outside perspective on it as well. And I believe we even had an outside perspective. We have, like I mentioned, a group of youth voices who are these amazing LGBTQ plus teens, 13 to 18. And we had them look at the application and say, you know, what do you think about this? Do you have any feedback? So that would be my advice as well, is to put it in front of real people who are in your audience and see what they think about it.
That's great advice. I mean, you get so close to these types of any campaign that you're doing, and you kind of look at it from your own internal perspective, right? You got to make sure that you're still able to view it with the eyes of your actual participants. So that's great advice. Tiffany, anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say for anyone looking to engage in creator partnerships or influencer partnerships, to really spend some quality time in your research phase or in that identification phase, making sure that those creators really align with the objectives of your campaign, but not just the objectives, the values that you adhere to. I think we just literally feel like we hit the jackpot with so many of these creators. They're just so innovative, so genuine, so collaborative, and so excited to support the mission of It Gets Better. And that made the rest of the process so much easier, even, you know, as you run into timelines and deliverables and kind of all of the technical aspects of things. Working with the right people made all the difference.
That's great. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today. Great campaign. Congrats on the results, and good luck with 2023. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Nonprofit Voice. You can listen to more episodes of The Nonprofit Voice at nonprofitpro.com/podcast/the-nonprofit-voice. And remember, for your convenience, you can stream any and all episodes of The Nonprofit Voice on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify.